Hello folks, I'm Ronald Mehta and welcome back to Digit.com. We are your digital aid and we provide free courses on the subject of business and marketing. In this video, we are going to take a brief stab on the topic of brand elements along with live examples and case studies. Let's start with the first one. Let's start with the introduction to branding. According to the American Marketing Association, a brand can be defined as a name, term, sign, symbol, or design, or a combination of them intended to identify the goods and services of one seller from those of competition. Whenever a marketer develops a new identity in the form of a name, a logo, a symbol for a new product or service, he or she has indirectly designed or created a brand. Marketers can push building a brand in the eyes of the buyers virtually anywhere the buyer has a choice. Why branding? Branding is all about creating differences between products. Branding is a process that includes creating a quirky name and image for a product in the consumer's mind, principally through advertising campaigns with a consistent theme. It is all around creating a point of difference among similar looking products. You will see how. It intends to establish differentiated presence in the market that pulls and retains loyal customers. Branding helps the marketers in educating consumers about who the product is by giving it a name and other brand elements to identify, as well as what the product does and why consumers should consider buying it. The best example in this case is of Pepsi versus Coke. Similar looking products but different names, different brand elements. Moving on to what can be branded. What are the things can be branded? It is possible to brand the following. First, product. Example, the iPhone, Tesla, Victoria's Secret are all respected brands in their respective product categories. Moving on to services. Gold's Gym into the health and fitness category, Singapore Airlines in the aviation sector, Ritz-Carlton in the hospitality segment, and quick service restaurant, KFC. Firms can also be branded. For instance, Microsoft, Facebook, Google. Even a person can be branded. For instance, Kim, Donald Trump, Lionel Messi, George Clooney. Even a place can be branded, and we aspire to go to these places such as Germany, Dubai, Las Vegas, New York, etc. And finally, even sports and entertainment can be branded. For instance, NBA, Real Madrid team, the Indian Premier League known as IPL, and even a show such as Game of Thrones. Moving on to the importance of branding to consumers. First, shopping behavior. Branding aids in simplifying shopping experience for the consumers as the marketed product enables the buyers to instantly and efficiently pinpoint what they want. It significantly reduces the wastage of time and money on unknown products. Next, emotional attachments. The objective of branding is to build a brand worth that adds value to the features and functions of the product. This value comes from a brand personality and image to which the consumers feel emotionally attached. Example, Apple products and their ecosystem. Habitual buying. Decisions related to purchases made by consumers are mostly due to a habit. It often possesses a great difficulty for competitors to break well-established habits, even by providing heavy schemes, substantial discounts, offers, etc. In this case, Amazon is the best example because people are hooked on to their online shopping. Then comes easy decision making. With the experience and search of information, buyers can make decisions swiftly and easy for deciding about the purchase of the brand. For instance, everybody is hooked onto Uber to call for the cab service. Another importance of branding to consumers also includes reducing the risk in product decisions. Now, whenever we buy a product or service, we go through many risks or we come across many risks. These are, first, functional risk, when the product underperforms and does not meet up to the expectation. Next, physical risk, when the product possesses a threat to the bodily well-being of the users or others. Financial risk, when the product is not worth the amount spent. Social risk, when the product results in embarrassment. And finally, time risk, when the failure of the product results in an opportunity cost of finding another product that meets the needs. Thus, when you buy a branded product, somewhere in your subconscious mind, you overcome all this risk and depend on that brand. Now moving on to the importance of branding to firms. First, identification of the market. A brand name recognizes the market that serves in assigning the responsibilities in the distribution phase such as warehousing, classifying, selling, and after-sales service. Example, Coca-Cola sells about 3,500 brands globally, and the brand name Coca-Cola itself helps them in their distribution channel across the world. Next, legal protection. A brand name recognizes the brand and its different features and aspects by offering legal protection for the branded products. It does so through trademarks, patents, and copyrights. Registered trademarks protect the brand name. Registered patents protect the manufacturing process of the firms, such as Coca-Cola has a patent for their Coke and similar products. And copyrights are unique designs protecting their packaging. A case study of Starbucks. Starbucks, the world's largest coffee franchise, accused Sardar Baksh, a Delhi-based coffee chain in 2018, which had 25 outlets for using a similar sounding name and logo, as you can witness in the picture. The next importance of branding to firms is unique association. Associations are the effect of different feelings and images the brand plants in the minds of the consumers. For example, Coca-Cola is one great example of a brand that connects emotionally with consumers thanks to the feeling of happiness it is associated with. Coca-Cola's Choose Happiness campaign showed how to use emotions to connect with public. Next, high market share. High positive customer perception about the brand leads to organic and elevated earnings, which result in higher market share for the organization. A happy customer recommends the same service which meet their needs to other contacts that help in getting more customers. The example here in this case of AirPods. AirPods with a 30% ballpark global market domination is way ahead of the competition, which comprises of wireless earbuds from brands such as Jabra, Samsung and Bose. Next, acts as an entry barrier to other brands. A strong brand that meets customer needs efficiently creates a barrier to the entry of other brands into the market. This is due to the brand loyal customers that take a long time to switch to another brand, or they may stick to the similar brand. The examples in this case is Gillette in the razor category around the world and energy drink category Red Bull. Branding also builds financial value for the firm. Brands can be measured in financial terms and can be found on the asset side of the balance sheet. Strong and successful brands can be bought and sold by the organization. For example, the case study of Facebook's acquisition of WhatsApp. Facebook acquired WhatsApp for a whopping $19 billion in 2014. At the time, it was the largest acquisition of a venture-backed company in history. Sequoia Capital witnessed an approximate 5,000% return on its initial investment. Facebook paid around $4 billion in cash, $12 billion in Facebook shares, and an additional $3 billion in restricted stock units, yielded to WhatsApp founders Com and Acton. Moving on, branding also improves recognition. A logo is one of the significant components of the company's brand. A professional logo design is simple to remember and catchy enough to give the desired recognition to the company. The best example in this case is of Netflix, easily recognizable, and the World Wildlife Fund, WWF. The next importance is of branding creating trust. Reliability and trust are the two crucial elements built by professional appearance. Examples, JP Morgan Chase and Company in the financial industry and Apple in the electronics category. Moving on to the conclusion of branding, advantages of strong brands. Brands often use marketing as a tool to give them a definite shape amongst the users and gives them a competitive advantage. Let's see the advantage of branding to these firms. In case of Toyota, for an improved understanding of product performance. For Coca-Cola, it helps them in greater trade cooperation and support. For Lego, loyal customers. For Gillette, increased marketing communications effectiveness. For Red Bull, less vulnerable to competitive marketing actions. For Disney, branding helps them in possible licensing opportunities. Samsung, less vulnerability to marketing crisis, as happened with one of their Note phones. Nivea, it helps them in additional brand extension opportunities. Apple, larger margins. Marriott, improved employee retention. For Tesla, it is more inelastic consumer response to price increases as consumers latch onto their brand. And for Amazon, it is about higher financial market returns. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on branding. These are the list of sources and links referred to for the content in the video. Alright, let's start with the topic on brand elements, the introduction. Brand elements, also known as brand identities, are trademarkable components that help in identifying and differentiating the brand. Let's see how. The chief brand elements include the brand name, in this case Apple, the URL as in the website link, in this case Google, www.google.com. Logos of brands such as Netflix and McDonald's. Characters, Ronald McDonald's and Cheetos. Slogans of Nike and Citibank. Packaging of products which help us identify them in the first place. And even spokesperson in certain categories. This is the gamut of brand elements. We'll be covering each one of them in detail in our branding course, continuing further on the topic of brand elements. Brand elements promote brand awareness. They aid in creation of strong, favorable and unique brand association. They improve positive brand experiences and feelings. And they additionally provide a positive augmentation to the brand equity, which implies certain valued association or responses. Moving on to the criteria for selecting brand elements, as in if you want to launch a brand tomorrow, there are certain criteria that you need to keep in mind when selecting these elements that we just briefly discussed. The criteria are: first, the brand element should be memorable, that is, easily recognized and easily recalled. Next, meaningful, it should be detailed and persuasive. Next, it should be likable, that is, entertaining and engaging by having rich visuals and aesthetic appeal. The next criteria, transferable, in and across the product categories and geographic boundaries as well as cultures. That means if a brand is taken from one country and launched in another, the elements should be identifiable. Next, the element should be adaptable, that is flexible and easy to update or upgrade. And finally, the elements need to be protectable as well through legal and competitive sense. Now we look at each criteria briefly, starting with the first one, memorable. Brand elements that are unique and eye-catchy benefit in quick recall and recognition during purchase or consumption. Now here, the brand Apple, the name itself and the logo are easily memorable. Next, the element should have some meaning. Brand elements tend to take on any kind of meaning with the help of either descriptive or persuasive content. In the case of Burger King, the name burger itself states that they sell hamburgers. The third criteria of likability. Irrespective of its memorability and meaningfulness, customers find a few brand elements aesthetically appealing, which is due to likable visuals, verbal content marketed, and other ways. In this case, the brand Puma. Fourth, the criteria of transferable. Transferability estimates the degree to which brand elements can be applied to new products or in new markets for the brand. The best example in this case is of Amazon. The Amazon logo was designed to express the message that it retails everything from A to Z, which is artistically conveyed by the arrow that connects two letters A and Z in its brand name. Number 5. Adaptability. Most brand elements must be updated in order to remain relevant and keep up with the changing customer values and opinions, and even times. Logos and characters can be updated by giving a new look or modern design to make them seem more contemporary and relevant. Let's look at a case study of Air India's mascot, Maharaja. Air India and Indian carriers Maharaja, an iconic Ponji figure in regal guise and hands folded in namaskar, has been modified. Passengers now are being welcomed by a new and younger version of the mascot without the turban, with spiky hair, wearing jeans and sneakers. The rationale is simple. The new Maharaj appearance is aligned with modern times with the new Air India, which is also trying to become a contemporary company. Moving on to the sixth criteria, protectability. The last criteria is the amount to which the brand elements are protectable both in a legal and a competitive sense. Choose brand elements carefully that can be legally protected on a global level. Formally register them with the appropriate legal entities and vigorously defend trademarks from unauthorized competitive infringement. Now let's look at a case study of what happened to Starbucks in India. In 2018, US headquartered global coffee chain Starbucks sued another coffee chain by the name of Sardar Baksh, a Delhi-based coffee chain with 24 outlets, for using a similar sounding name and logo, as you can see in the picture here. So finally, to conclude the criteria for selecting brand elements, remember these two options here. Memorability, meaningfulness, and likability, these three criteria are used by an advertiser for an offensive strategy and to build brand equity. But as I mentioned, you also need to protect your brand. So in that case, the criteria of transferable, adaptable, and protectable play a defensive role for leveraging and managing brand equity in the face of different opportunities and constraints. Now let's look at each brand elements briefly, starting with the first one, brand name. Brand names are an excellent means of communication, as we all know. Whereas an advertisement lasts half a minute, customers notice brand names and remember it. Best example in this case could be of Apple, Coca-Cola, Google, and Tesla. Moving on to the element of characters. Brand characters represent a specific type of brand symbol. This element has a tendency to take on human or real-life characteristics. Examples: the bunny of Energizer, Ronald McDonald's, the Michelin figure, Colonel Sanders of KFC, and many more. Next, logos and symbols. Although the brand name typically is a central element of the brand, visual elements also play a critical role in building brand equity and especially brand awareness. Logos can range from corporate names or trademarks, as in word marks with text only, written in a distinctive form, to entirely abstract designs that may be completely unrelated to the word mark, corporate name, or corporate activities. Please note, there is a separate video on the element of logos. Certain examples for this element are the Mercedes logo, the Harley-Davidson logo, the IBM logo, and the Google logo. The next element of URL, as in the website link. URLs denote specific location of pages on the web and are also ordinarily regarded as domain names. Individuals wanting to own a particular URL needs to register and pay for the name. The massive volume of registered URLs often makes it imperative for companies to use coined words for new brands if they wish to have a website for the brand. In this case, an example of Facebook. So when Facebook was initially launched, they had the domain name www.facebook.com. Later on, they came to know that Facebook has been referred to as FB. And they went out to purchase the domain name www.fb.com, but that was already bought by a company. So Facebook finally paid $8.5 million to an American company called Farm Bureau for the domain name www.fb.com. Moving on to the next element of jingles. Jingles are nothing but fun musical messages written about the brand. Ideally written by professional songwriters, they often are catchy and sticky in nature, which almost permanently registers in the minds of the listeners, sometimes even if they want it or not. Famous examples is of Oscar Mayer's "I Wish I Was an Oscar Mayer Wiener." The next element of slogans. Slogans are short expressions that express descriptive or persuasive data about the brand. They often show presence in advertisements but can play an essential role in packaging and in other aspects of the marketing program. They can operate as valuable hooks or handles to assist customers in grasping the meaning of the brand. The best examples here in case are of Snickers, hungry, grab a Snickers, or Kit Kat, have a break, have a Kit Kat. And the final element of packaging. Packaging is nothing but the process of designing and producing containers or wrappers for a particular product. As you can see on your right, these are famous brands with their famous packaging that help us identify them in supermarkets. Just like any other brand element, packaging is essential for a brand. It is the look of its packaging that inspires one of the strongest associations consumers have with the brand. From the perspective of both the firm and the consumers, packaging must achieve a number of objectives. Marketeers further must carefully work around the aesthetic and operative components of the packaging. Whether size and shape, material, color, text and graphics form the aesthetics, and the operative components deal with the structural design. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand elements, the introduction. As I mentioned earlier, these topics will be covered in detail on separate videos in this course. Now these are the list of sources and links we refer to for our content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand name. Introduction. Brand names are an excellent means of communications. Whereas an advertisement lasts half a minute, customers notice brand names and remember its meaning in just a few seconds. Examples of famous brand names are Apple, Shell, Uber, Burger King, Google, and McDonald's. Let's look at type of brand names. Let's start with the first one, descriptive. Brand names that are descriptive are those that they convey the service or product offered by a company. The perks of descriptive names are that they deliver the exact brand story. For example, Burger King and American Airlines. But a potential drawback is that they tend to limit the brand as it evolves and looks to expand, such in the case of Kentucky Fried Chicken and Pizza Hut. The second type, evocative. Evocative names trigger an experience or brand positioning in the minds of the consumers. They are unique and artistic, which makes them significant differentiators. Evocative names allow diversifying the brand into many categories as they tend to be non-linear and multidimensional.
Examples: Google, Nike, Uber, Amazon, and Samsung. Evocative names are also easier to trademark than descriptive names. Third, invented names. Brand names can also be words that are merely made up in case one doesn't find a suitable existing word. Such names give the most creative liberty to a brand and are easy to trademark. Example: Exxon, Xerox, Skype, Zomato, and Accenture. Since they do not have any inherent definition other than the one assigned to them, it could pose as a potential drawback and demand a more substantial marketing budget to establish as a brand in the minds of the customer. Next up, lexical names. The basic need for lexical brand name is the ability for it to be memorable. Wordplay such as pun, rhyme scheme, onomatopoeia, misspelling, alterations, and foreign words that make the brand name extremely easy to remember is used in this type of brand name. For example, Dunkin' Donuts and Moonpig. Next up are acronyms. Acronym and abbreviation type of brand names need time and effort to develop association with consumers, and they are tough to trademark. For example, H&M, KFC, IBM, 3M, and IKEA. The next are geographically based names. At times, brands are associated with the regions they originate from and hold cultural and historical association. For example, Bailey's Irish Cream, FC Barcelona Football Club, American Express, and HSBC. Some names are also based on their founders. Brands have often been named after the people who founded them and are quite easy to trademark. This tradition has a long historical relevance. For example, Ford, McDonald's, Ralph Lauren, Walt Disney, Carl Zeiss, and Kellogg's. They can be unique if positioned correctly, but require some marketing efforts to bring brand value. The only exception would be if the founder were already renowned. Now let's look at some of the naming guidelines. Brand names that are easy to pronounce and are meaningful are easy to remember and can prominently improve brand awareness. Let's look at ease of pronunciation. Simple names lessen the effort taken to understand the brand name, such as short brand names. They help in instant recall and they are easy to store in memory. For example, Google, Uber, Apple, and Shell. Shortened brand names. Budweiser beer has become Bud, Hewlett-Packard has become HP, and Kentucky Fried Chicken shortened name is KFC. But sometimes there's an issue of mispronunciation of a brand name. This could cause embarrassment as these are mispronounced most of the time. Following the brands listed below which are mispronounced most of the time. Next, meaningfulness. Familiarity and meaningfulness of the brand are essential so that it can be registered into existing knowledge structures. As the name of people, objects, animal, and inanimate objects already exist in memories, consumers have to put less energy to understand their meaning as brand names, making them easy to remember. When a customer sees the commercial ad of a brand like Apple for the first time, it is easy to register as the word already exists in the memory. It increases recall value. Brand names sometimes may also imply the product or service they offer to help with brand recall. For example, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Burger King, and PayPal. Now let's look at the naming procedure. Step 1. Defining goals. Define the branding goals and objectives in terms of the 6 general criteria. Step 2. Shortlisting names. With the branding goals and objectives in place, shortlist as many names and ideas as possible. Step 3 would be screening. Screen all the names with the branding goals and objective mentioned in step 1 and come up with a more manageable list. Avoid names that can be misinterpreted, difficult to pronounce, already in use, or similar to an existing name. Step 4 would be analysis. Extensive information about each of the shortlisted 5 to 10 names needs to be further analyzed before investing a huge amount of money on consumer research. Step 5. Secondary analysis. Consumer research needs to be performed to ensure memorability and meaningfulness of the shortlisted names. And the final step is the final selection. On the basis of the extensive research, management should choose a name that maximizes the brand's marketing goals and objectives and then formally register it. And to add a note here, apart from just selecting the brand name, at the same time the domain name also needs to be kept in mind. Because sometimes you may shortlist a brand name and later on find out that the domain name is not available. So my suggestion here would be, as soon as you shortlist a brand name, also do check for the available domain name. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand elements with a special focus on brand name. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand logo. So what is a brand logo? A brand logo is an optic element that plays a sharp role in building brand awareness and equity. Brand logos vary from corporate titles or trademarks to absolutely abstract designs. They could be word marks with just text written in a peculiar form that may be completely unrelated to the word mark. Examples: Apple, Google, IBM, Coca-Cola, Mercedes-Benz, and Rolex. Now let's look at the types of brand logo, which include name-based, acronym, letter form, pictorial mark, the emblem, abstract, and combination mark. Let's look at each one of them briefly, starting with name-based. These are powerful word marks with no accompanying logo. The name of the brand here is catchy and makes it easy to memorize. This uniqueness in name, coupled with attractive typography, helps the logo in creating brand recognition. Examples are Netflix, Google, Visa, Coca-Cola, KitKat, Prada, Zara, Sony, and Forbes. The next one is acronym-based. When a logo comprises of letters, it falls under this category of logos. They usually revolve around brand initials of businesses with fairly lengthy names. Example: UPS, SAP, ESPN, IBM, and HSBC. Next, letter form. A distinctive design utilizing letters act as a mnemonic device for the company's name. Examples: F for Facebook, M from McDonald's, and LV from Louis Vuitton. Next, pictorial mark. A simple design that has excellent recall value and is instantly distinguishable makes for this type of logo. Example: WWF, the logo for Playboy, Twitter, Apple, Nike, Olympics, and Mercedes. Next, the emblem. A logo that consists of text inside a symbol or an icon makes it an emblem logo. These logos manage to have a conventional appearance and can make a noticeable impact. Due to these perks, they often tend to be the go-to choices for many schools, corporation, or government offices. Examples of companies that use emblem for the logo are Starbucks, Harley-Davidson, and National Football League. The next is abstract. It is a particular type of pictorial logo where instead of it being a recognizable image like apple or bird, you have an abstract geometric figure that communicates a bigger idea and usually embodies strategic ambiguity. Examples: Mercedes, Target, Nike, Olympics, Audi, JP Morgan Chase, and Microsoft. And finally, the combination mark. This type of logo comprises of combination of word mark or letter mark and a pictorial or abstract image. This could also include mascots. The picture and text could be laid out in any combinations, such as keeping it side by side, stacked on top of each other, etc. Examples in this case are Burger King, Lacoste, BMW, Nestle, and Airbnb. Now moving on to the benefits of brand logo. They include attention and recognition, foundation of brand equity, they help in memorability, separates the brand from the competition, helps in consistency, versatility, and adaptability. Let's look at each one of them briefly. Starting with attention and recognition. Logos and symbols make the organization more recognizable, thereby making the products easy to identify. Due to the short attention spans of consumers, logo proves to be a huge asset to create brand equity in the eyes of the consumers. Companies have very little time to convince potential customers that their products are worth any consideration. In situations like this, logos can immediately grab customer attention while communicating the company's core values interestingly. The examples in this case are the famous logos of Starbucks and McDonald's. Next, brand logos also are the foundation of brand identity. Branding is about influencing customers' emotions by telling a story. Elements such as colors, tones, fonts, placements aid in determining the storyline, and the logo arranges the stage for the story. These elements in the appropriate combination form the logo and transform onto other branding accessories such as letterheads, business cards, and landing pages. The example in this case are the famous logos for Amazon and FedEx. Moving on to memorability. Logos are the face of the organizations. They are the symbols that help customers recognize the brand. Due to this visual and aesthetic appeal, logos trigger a positive recall about the brand. The best example in this case are the logos of Coca-Cola and Netflix. Next, brand logos separate the brand from the competition. Logos are powerful tools that can communicate everything right from the company's background to their mission through right icon or proper font. In simple words, logos act as a platform for the companies to convey the values and show consumers why the brand is different from others. Example, the most recognized logo is of Google. Moving on to consistency. Uniformity and consistency of a brand across all media platforms can increase revenue and go a long way in educating any brand's reputation. A good logo design becomes an important part here as it supports the company set a standard style baseline across various forms of media. The example in this case is of YouTube. Next, versatility. As logos are non-verbal elements, they roll well across cultures and over a range of product categories. Example, the logo of Coca-Cola is recognized globally and the logo of Amazon works for many products. Moving on to adaptability. Logos are one of the most flexible elements of a company. They can be easily modified over time to achieve a more modern look. In this case, the refurbished look of Pepsi and Apple. And now moving on to brand logos with hidden meanings. First, Baskin-Robbins. The B and R include the number 31 in pink. 31 stands for 31 flavors offered by Baskin-Robbins. Next is the F formula F1. The number 1 can be seen between the white F and the red waves. Next, Amazon's logo. From A to Z, Amazon has it all and a smile as indicated by the yellow arrow. Next, B stands for headphones. Next one is FedEx. The hidden arrow represents speed and precision. The arrow is marked in black. Next is Pinterest. The letter P is a board pin. Next, Hyundai. The H represents a handshake and is a symbol of customer trust and satisfaction. The logo Quicksilver. This logo is a stylish version of the famous woodblock print, the Great Wave of Kanagawa. Moving on to Levi's. The Levi's batwing forms the shape of the pockets on the pair of Levi's. Next, Cisco. The lines represents the Golden Gate Bridge of San Francisco, which was the source of inspiration for its founders as they drove into the city to register the company. Next, NBC. The peacock in the NBC logo stands for color and pride. And finally, Yoga Australia. This is the logo for Yoga Australia has a hidden gem in its negative space. In the area between the arm and the leg it's grasping is the geographical outline of Australia. So that's it folks, this brings an end to the topic on brand logo. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video.
In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand mascot. Let's start with the introduction. Mascots are nothing but brand characters that represent a select type of brand symbol that have human or real-life characteristics. Mascots are the face of the particular organization that consumers connect to. They add an edge of personality to the firm. They also play an imperative role in ad campaigns and package design. Some mascots are animated while some are live action figures. For example, Ronald McDonald, Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse, and KFC's Colonel. Moving further, let's look at the benefits of brand mascot. First, amiable. This humanistic element of brand mascot can amplify likability and help create a perception of the brand as fun and exciting. Next, increased brand awareness. Vibrant and rich in imagery, mascots don't fail to garner attention and come handy in creating brand awareness. They help in name recognition, and the right mascot can take advantage of having its own social media presence. Next, bonding. A consumer may more easily form a relationship with the product when the brand has a character presence. Moving forward, lifelong presence. Mascots leave a long-lasting memory and can last a lifetime as they don't grow old. Next, they are better in comparison to human ambassadors. Mascots bypass hiccups that could come with human brand ambassadors. They rule out the risk of damaging the brand's name in any way. Next, they have mass appeal. Mascots, due to their increased likability, open up your brand to multiple markets. Relatable company mascots allow for broader and deeper market penetration. Next, mascots are also hard to ignore. Mascots can cheer up anybody's mood who sees them. People in today's picture-oriented world do not miss opportunities to have a quick photo shoot with an exciting mascot. Next, mascots improve employee morale. Mascots positively engage the employees as well. They create a playful atmosphere around the workplace, which makes the task more fun and enjoyable. The positive attitude helps in increasing productivity. Example, 95.9 Fox FM's mascot attends functions and special occasions with the radio show host. Engaging the fans and attendees is a given, but the mascots also ensure that the hosts have just as much fun. And finally, they could also be an additional revenue stream. Mascots can add to the revenue streams through merchandising marketing, where the consumers can buy merchandise like toys, collectibles, and associated product sales. Now let's look at the downsides of mascots. First, huge time investment is required in conceptualization of a unique character and could quickly start becoming jaded after overexposure of the same. And next, often characters need to be rearranged or abandoned over time to generate new campaigns. The consumers might even have an unfavorable reaction to your mascot.
Now moving on to examples of famous brand mascots, starting with Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse, a well-celebrated cartoon character, is a mascot of the Walt Disney Company. Walt Disney and Ub Iwerks were responsible for his creation at the Walt Disney Studios in 1928. Mickey, an anthropomorphic mouse, is one of the world's most recognizable characters. He is typically found wearing red shorts, large yellow shoes, and white gloves. Next, Kellogg's Tony the Tiger. Tony the Tiger, an advertising cartoon mascot, belongs to Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, popularly known as Frosties. Tony has additionally been the mascot for related cereals such as Tiger Power and Tony Cinnamon's Crunchers. After coming to life in 1952, the character has traversed several generations, becoming a breakfast cereal icon. Tony is famous for his catchphrase, "They are great." Next, Michelin Man by Michelin. Michelin Man, or the Tire Man, is the official mascot of the Michelin Tire Company. Michelin brothers at the Lyon exhibition of 1894 introduced a human-like mascot consisting of stacked white tires. It was recorded as one of the world's oldest trademarks. Next, the Laughing Cow. Born in 1921, the Laughing Cow is a red and white and a fable. The cow has appeared on the wrapping of all companies' products ever since and is almost always depicted wearing ear tags that look like the round boxes the cheese comes in. Lion Bell trademarked his brand in France on April 16, 1921. The next up, Colonel Sanders by KFC. Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, has his mascot design resembling himself, which was created years after the death of its founder. A smiling face with glasses, white hair and a goatee indeed has turned out to be a super successful choice of a brand character depicting the chef's background and lineage. And finally, Ronald McDonald, a clown character used as a mascot for the fast food restaurant chain named McDonald's. The restaurant chain has people working full-time, making appearances in the Ronald McDonald costume and visiting kids in hospitals and attending regular events. Ronald McDonald houses are stay-in options where parents can stay overnight when visiting sick children in nearby chronic care facilities. Now moving on to Madison Avenue Walk of Fame for brand mascots. Advertising Week celebrates the most treasured brand mascots since the year 2004. It was founded to honor and recognize the most magnificent mascots in advertising every year. These brand characters are bestowed with a highly coveted spot on the Madison Avenue Walk of Fame. The winners are voted online by followers and users all over. Now let's look at the winners for each year, starting with 2019, Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. The brand represented Oscar Mayer in the year 1936. Wienermobile, a series of automobiles shaped like a hot dog on a bun, are used to promote and advertise Oscar Mayer products in the United States. It is so popular that the founder lets people stay overnight in the Wienermobile using Airbnb. Next, McCruff the Crime Dog. National Crime Prevention Council in the year 1980 introduced McCruff the Crime Dog. The character is an anthropomorphic comic bloodhound designed by Dancer Fitzgerald Sample Promotion Executive Jack Keel with the help of the Ad Council and later the National Crime Prevention Council to increase crime awareness and personal safety in the United States. Next, the winner of 2018, Miss Chiquita. Leading distributor of bananas, Chiquita is located in the United States and was founded in 1944. This animated banana was very instrumental in educating consumers in the 1940s about the high nutritional value of bananas and how to ripen them. Over the years, she came to life and made guest appearances as an increasingly popular celebrity in top radio shows and took part in movies and commercials. The next winner of 2018, the Burger King. Burger King, founded in 1955, uses a king character as a mascot for the fast food restaurant chain of the same name. Throughout the company's tenure, the mascot was subjected to monotony. In 2015, the character was revived when Burger King paid $1 billion to have him included in Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s entourage for his May 2015 fight with Manny Pacquiao. Next, the winner of 2017, Fudgy the Whale. Carvel in the year 1977 produced and sold a type of ice cream cakes by the name Fudgy the Whale. Developed as an extension in the line of freshly made products along with Hug Me Bear and Cookie Puss. This fudge-filled ice cream cake is in the shape of a whale and quickly became one of the brand's signature offerings and their leading mascot. And the next winner of 2017, the Energizer Bunny. The Energizer Bunny in the year 1989 launched its marketing icon and mascot in the US and Canada. The mascot is a pink mechanical toy rabbit wearing sunglasses, blue and black striped flip-flops, and beats a bass drum bearing the Energizer logo. And finally, to conclude, mascot characters frequently need to be modernized over time so that their image and personality continue to be of relevance. The example in this case is of Indian-based airline Air India's Maharaja mascot. A realistic brand character has a consistent need to keep it updated. Air India's Maharaja, an iconic striking figure in regal guise and hands folded namaskar, has been modified. Passengers now are being welcomed by a new and younger version of the Mascot without the turban with spiky hair, wearing jeans and sneakers. While the trademark twirling moustache remains untouched, which has now been cut down to size. The new Maharaja's appearance is aligned with modern times and with the new Air India, which is also trying to become a modern company. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand Mascot. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand Jingle. Let's start with the introduction. The musical messages that are written around a brand are called jingles. They are generally composed by professional songwriters. Jingles get permanently etched into the minds of the listener, sometimes even if they don't want it, because of their catchy hooks and choruses. Jingles can be thought of as a lengthened musical slogan. They can also be classified as a unique element of the brand. Moving further, let's look at the advantages of jingles. First, brand awareness. Jingles are probably the most valuable in improving brand awareness. Next, repetition. They frequently repeat the brand name in creative and entertaining ways. That gives consumers recurring encoding occasions. Third, memorable. It is possible that consumers may mentally rehearse or repeat infectious jingles after the ad is over. This enhances memorability. Fourth, timeless. A well-known jingle serves as a foundation for advertising for years to come. Next, nostalgia. A good advertising jingle gets stuck in the head for days on end. It has the ability to initiate nostalgic feelings. Next, cost-effective. After a jingle hits the first airwaves, it can continue to impress for months thereon. It stands the test of time, and thus the brand does not need to invest vast sums of money each month for brand new commercials. And finally, word-of-mouth publicity. Kids and grown-ups both could hum the tune, sing it aloud, and repeat the slogan in a social setting. When people sing aloud or use a jingle as a clever reference with their friends, it works as an additional word-of-mouth marketing. Now moving on to some examples, starting with McDonald's. I'm loving it. The man behind McDonald's catchy tune was Pusha T, the Grammy-nominated artist. Justin Timberlake came together to sing the theme, and the rest is history. McDonald's spent $1.37 billion in advertising in 2003 when I Am Loving It debuted. This led to an 11% increase in sales that year. 5 commercials were released featuring the jingle. They were translated into 11 different languages. Next, Kit Kat Gimme a Break. In 1986, Kit Kat released a good quality jingle. Gimme a Break turned out to be infectious and very memorable. When Ken Shuldman wrote the tune, he was a junior copywriter at DDB Needham. Michael Levine, a classical violinist, was brought on as a composer. It was a huge success all over the country. Chance the Rapper gave the trademark jingle of Kit Kat a modern update in 2016. The next example, Oscar Mayer, I Wish I Was an Oscar Mayer Wiener. After nearly 60 years, it is still one of the most popular advertisement jingles ever. The jingle was written in 1962 but was routinely used in advertising until 2010. Richard Trendlake composed the song in 1965. Over the years, it has been sung by a metal band, barbershop quartet, ukulele player, and also a singing parrot. Next, Subway's $5 footlong. MMB, an ad agency, was hired to write the jingle. Subway's simplistic song and dance got stuck in the hearts and minds of the people. These advertisements have driven the subs to become one of the best-selling fast food items in the whole nation. It was so successful that it quickly became a national phenomenon. Other examples of jingles include India-based Kingfisher brand, Ooh La 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 Ooh Le Lo. Kingfisher sponsored the West Indies cricket team in 1996. This resulted in the creation of their iconic jingle. This tone is synonymous with the king of good times. Next, Hutch's You and I. The heartfelt lyrics and wonderful music of this jingle by Vodafone Idea, then Hutch, struck a chord with the country's audience. Other famous jingles include Empire's 800 number, State Farm's Like a Good Neighbor, Lucky Charms, They Are Magically Delicious, Huggies, I'm a Big Kid Now, Band-Aid, Stuck on Band-Aid, Nirma, Washing Powder Nirma, and Nerolax, Jab Ghar Ki Ronak jingle. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand jingle. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand personality. Let's start with the introduction. Brands become distinguishable not only by how they position themselves in the marketplace, but also by how well they establish a connection with the customers. Brands tend to take on personality traits or human values as a person and appear to be contemporary, old-fashioned, energetic, or exotic through consumer experience or marketing activities. Brand personality as a concept is best understood when we assume the brand to be a person, answering questions like how the person would speak, how would he or she behave in a certain situation, how does she or he dress up. Example, to elucidate the concept in depth, imagine how Apple would be as a human. It would have an irreproachable knowledge of the language with a perfect grip of grammar. It would be someone with a vivid imagination. Apple would maintain discipline even in demanding situations, and it would prefer premium quality clothes over the inferior ones. All this because it is how the brand personality of Apple is perceived by the people. Now moving on, the importance of brand personality. Defining a crisp brand personality is extremely important for a company to resonate with the correct consumers. A good brand personality boosts brand equity and outlines the brand's attitude in a marketplace, acting as a key factor for conducting any successful marketing campaign. Companies, in order to determine a brand's personality, consider 5 personality types and pick one the company resonates the most and wishes to convey. Moving further, how to build a brand personality. The process of building a brand personality demands the brand manager get a close understanding of the customers and draft a character that evoke the like, know and trust factor. That is, developing a personality that instantly attracts the target audience by evoking a feeling of comfort, familiarity or respect, makes the prospective target audience like the brand and acknowledge and appreciate the offerings, and finally, repels the customers that the brand doesn't want to attract. Moving further, a number of ways can be used to build this kind of brand personality, but Jennifer Aaker's brand personality model is often preferred by most brands. Now let's look at the brand personality model in detail. In 1997, Jennifer Aaker, a behavioral psychologist and Stanford professor, defined the structure which divided the personality into 5 dimensions, each containing a set of facets. Let's look at the 5. Let's look at each one of them. First, sincerity, which means being down to earth, honest, wholesome and cheerful. Next, excitement, that is about being daring, spirited, imaginative and up to date. Next, competence, which means reliable, intelligent and successful. Then comes sophistication, which means upper class and charming. And finally, ruggedness, which means outdoorsy and tough. Let's look at examples for each one of them, starting with sincerity. The examples for brands which display a sincere personality include Walt Disney, Amazon, Dairy Milk, Whisper and Michelin. Next, excitement, which includes being daring, spirited, imaginative and up to date. Examples are Red Bull, Tesla, Tinder, Instagram, Coca-Cola, Jägermeister, Durex and Victoria's Secret. When it comes to competence, brands include Nike, Intel, Microsoft, Google, Yamaha, Tesla and SpaceX. Moving on to sophistication, brands include Gucci, Tiffany, Apple, Louis Vuitton, Jaguar and Glenlivet. And finally, when it comes to ruggedness, brands include Jeep, Harley-Davidson, Cat, Marlboro, Old Spice, Woodland and Under Armour. Well, that's it folks, this brings an end to the topic on brand personality. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand domain name. Let's start with the introduction. A domain name is an address on the internet that one can use to locate a brand's online presence. A domain name can be bought from a domain registrar. When any user fills in the domain name of a site into the address bar, they can access the website. A domain name always contains 2 parts, that is, a website name and a top-level domain name, as mentioned below. World Wide Web, .domain name, marketing 91 in this case, and .com, the top-level domain. Moving further, Uniform Resource Locators, URL, also known as domain names, indicate locations or pages on the web. One must pay for the name if they wish to own a specific URL. The sheer volume of URLs that are registered is large. So if companies want to have a website for the brand, they need to use coined words for the new brand. Moving further, let's look at the group of top-level domains. First, infrastructure top-level domain. Second, generic top-level domains. Third, generic restricted top-level domains. Fourth, sponsored top-level domains. Fifth, country code top-level domains. And finally, test top-level domains. Now moving further, the most common domain extension to consider are, the first being, of course, .com. The .com domain is very popular. Most businesses choose .com domain names because it is widely popular. .com had approximately 133.9 million registrations by the end of first quarter of 2018. The next in line are .net, followed by .org, .co, and .us. Other domain extension options. In addition to the most familiar domain extensions mentioned above, there are other 1500 top-level domains available. These are some of the other famous options. .gov, which is limited to government agencies, .edu, limited to educational institutions, and .info, an open extension that is short for information. Moving further, IP address and domain names. An IP address is another way of getting to the website. They are identifying numbers used by computers to communicate with each other. Most IP addresses look like this. Remembering lengthy strings of numbers is a challenging task for ordinary users. This is when the brief and easy to remember domain names come into picture. Moving further, some of the benefits of domain name are: first, reaching your target audience; second, maintaining ownership of the brand; third, getting found easily by customers by being memorable; fourth, building a presence online; fifth, setting expectation; sixth, helps in developing credibility; seventh, boosting your SEO; eighth, competing with other businesses; and finally, helps in growing and expanding. Now moving on, let's look at the prerequisites required for the right domain name for building a brand. First, if it is available and is possible, buy a .com domain name. .com remains to be the golden standard from a wide consumer perspective. Hence, along with having an appropriate new generic top-level domain name extensions, startups should also consider owning the .com option. It is possible that one might need to use a chunk of their capital on a domain. Nevertheless, in the long haul, it will be well worth it. That being said, it is better to do sooner than later. The second point, check availability of your preferred domain name on social media sites. It is essential to have an official website and social media pages with the same name. This helps in building a strong brand identity. It is a foolproof way to make your brand more unforgettable and recognizable. It also makes it simpler for probable customers to look for your business across numerous platforms. Third, avoid any type of copyright issues. One should always steer clear of domain names that have already been documented as trademarks. This way, any legal implication for copyright infringement can be avoided. 4. Think about buying the other main top-level domain names as well. The story does not end at getting your primary domain name extension secured. It is just step 1, whether it is .com or a local top-level domain. Step 2 would be to acquiring all other top-level domains and then setting them to redirect to your main TLD. Example, if your desired address is watchmeskate.com, also consider getting the likes of watchmeskate.in, .co, .net, .arg and .co.uk. This will indeed contribute to your total domain name bill, but it will also prevent possible problems further down the line. This way, you would not end up playing against another site having the same domain name but ending in a different top-level domain. Number 5, choose a name that is brandable. Branding is critical to long-term success. However, the domain name needs to be brandable too. Some of the most significant ones are as follows. A brandable name has no particular meaning. For instance, Google is not a word and YouTube isn't one either. It is unique. Make sure your competitors don't use anything that is similar. Next, it is easy to memorize. It should not be too wordy. It should not have any complex vowel combinations either. It should be easy to pronounce and dictate over the phone. And finally, it should sound trustworthy. Some names can sound a little shady by description. A very standard example, winthelotterytoday.com may be too aggressive and forceful, but lotorio.com sounds way better. Moving to the 6th, buying the familiar misspellings of your domain. This one takes the cake, obviously. This can increase your annual domain bill even further, so it's your call. In conclusion, if you concentrate on some of the most likely misspellings of the domain, it's going to be pretty safe. Looking at the earlier example, Loterio can be misspelled as loterio.com with a single T. After attaining the misspellings, redirect them back to your primary domain name, as did for multiple domain names. Moving on to the most popular domain name registrars in the market, domain.com, Bluehost, GoDaddy, Hover, and Dynadot. Here is a list of the most expensive domain names. For instance, carinsurance.com was sold for $49.7 million in 2010. And in 2019, there was voice.com which was sold to $30 million. Moving further, an example of cyber squatting case over domain name. Donald Trump awarded damages in cyber squatting case over domain names. In 2013, a Brooklyn man was ordered by the court to pay $32,000 damages to Donald Trump. This cyber squatter registered domain names containing real estate mogul's name and held them hostage. Jay Young, a self-described domainer, developed 4 websites with the Trump name in it. Trump's attorney filed a countersuit against Young at the age of 34 at the US District Court in Brooklyn in March 2013 for federal cyber squatting. And the final example is of Facebook. Facebook paid $8.5 million to acquire www.fb.com. In 2011, Farm Bureau was paid $8.5 million by Facebook to acquire this particular domain. Before that, Facebook purchased the domain name facebook.com all the way back in August 2005. Facebook had paid only $200,000 to buy facebook.com, which was 42.5 times less than what Facebook spent to acquire fb.com, because Facebook eventually got famous with the words FB. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand domain name. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand packaging. Let's start with the introduction. Packaging is nothing but the process of designing and producing containers or wrappers for a particular product. Just like any other brand elements, packaging is essential for a brand. It is the look of its packaging that inspires one of the strongest associations consumers have with the brand. It can prove to be an essential means of brand recognition and convey information to build or augment valuable brand associations. For example, a red can is the image a consumer is reminded of when they recall Coca-Cola. Moving further, the objectives of brand packaging. From the perspective of both the firms and consumers, packaging must achieve a number of objectives, such as: first, identify the brand; second, convey descriptive and persuasive information; third, promote product transportation and protection; fourth, assist in at-home storage; and finally, aid in product consumption. Looking at the example of Pepsi, as stated by PepsiCo's India's Chief Marketing Officer, "I can put up the best TV screen here and people won't see my ads as many a times they see this," he says. By this, he was implying packaging. He further stated that even if a consumer watches our ad, it is for 30 seconds and a one-way story. Bottles, packaging on the other hand, are held for anywhere between 10 minutes and an hour. Moving further, brand packaging and aesthetics. Marketeers further must carefully work around the aesthetic and operative components of the packaging, where the size, shape, material, color, text, and graphics form the aesthetics, and the operative component deals with structural design. Example, food packages these days are affordable, tamper-proof, and more convenient to use, which makes it easy to hold, to open, or is squeezable. Moving further, brand packaging at the point of purchase. Many times, first encounters of a new brand could happen in the supermarket shelf or the store. Typically, a shopper scrolls from about 600 items per minute or one item every 10th of a second. Therefore, the only way to catch the consumer's attention is through effective packaging. A well-planned packaging can create a strong appeal in the mind of the consumer and set the brand away from the clutter. It is sometimes called the permanent media or the last salesman. The best example in this case is of Ferrero Rocher. The European brand is seen as a luxury product worthy of gifting during significant occasions. Each chocolate is carefully wrapped in gold foil, systematically placed in the fluted paper cup, and topped with a label in the end. They are then arranged and stacked in a clear carrying case that has rounded edges that ensure that they can be glanced at from any angle. For the record, over 60% of Ferrero Rochers are sold during the last 3 months of the calendar year, during the holiday season. And a fun fact, the gold foil and the paper packaging can make up to 40% of a Ferrero Rocher's packaging weight. Moving further, brand packaging and the aspect of design and color. In today's times, a thorough amount of work is done on testing out the right color for the package, customer motivation, and subconscious manipulation. Such extensive research just to find out how the majority of consumers will react to new packaging design. One of the most important visual design elements for a package is its color, which designers refer to as color vocabulary. Color is a visual representation of the brand and can trigger thoughts, feelings, and emotions about the brand, thus impacting the purchasing decision. It is a fact that 85% of consumers buy products based on color. Now let's focus on colors, starting with red. Characteristics involve excitement, passion, and durability. Brands that use the color are Coca-Cola and KFC. Next is white, wherein it stands for simple, pure, and elegant. Dove is one of the brands that uses this color. White is a packaging color that is often used to convey that the product is simple, safe, and elegant. Next, orange. Characteristics: entertaining, adventurous, friendly, and optimistic. Fanta is a brand that uses the color. Businesses who have a young target audience are also encouraged to use orange. For example, Nickelodeon. Next, the color purple, which means pampering, luxury, and spirituality. Brands that use this color are Dairy Milk and Hallmark. Food brands that are more luxurious than a need use purple. And finally, the color pink, which is about calming, glamour, and femininity. Example, Barbie and Victoria's Secret. It is associated with compassion, honesty, and beauty. Softer shades of pink are used for the packaging of products that have a feminine target group. Now moving on to certain examples, starting with green beer bottles. Why are beer bottles ordinarily green or brown and rarely clear? Beer previously was sold in clear glasses, and it kept reasonably well in cold, dark conditions. But brewers soon noticed that when bottles were exposed to sunlight, the beer began to smell funny. The clear glass allowed UV rays to infiltrate the drink and alter its flavor. So brewers turned the bottles to a darker color to block out the damaging rays and keep the beer fresh for longer. During World War II, due to a shortage of brown glass, green became the color of choice. Moving further, Kinder Joy. Launched in 2001 and sold in more than 100 countries, Kinder Joy is one of the many products under the 40-year-old Ferrero brand. Kinder Joy has an X-shaped plastic packaging that splits open into two. One half contains rich layers of milk, cream, and cocoa, and the other half comprises of a surprise toy. It helps parents add a little element of surprise to their kids' product that offers a delicious treat combined with a bit of surprise. Kids are drawn to visually colorful items, and this type of packaging ensures visibility and makes the product noticeable, attracting kids from far. Also, the oval shape can be perfectly clasped into small hands. And finally, the example of Apple. Apple is known to dominate the iconic sensory experience it provides that projects a clean image. The packaging is elegant and compact. The color is sleek, minimal, white. The design is simple, which speaks more loudly in the world of clutter. Some fact, Apple contracts a designer whose entire job is to create innovative packaging. The hired designer builds and tests countless versions of the box shape, angles, and tapes. The firm also has a designer dedicated to just opening hundreds of model boxes, as it isn't just about aesthetics. It is about how easy it is for customers to open, identify, and start using the products. In his book Inside Apple, Adam Lashinsky says, to fully grasp how seriously Apple executives sweat the small stuff, consider this. For months, a packaging designer was holed up in this room performing the most mundane of tasks, that is of opening boxes. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand packaging. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand mantra. Let's start with the introduction. The term brand mantra was originally coined by Scott Bedbury during his time at Nike. A brand mantra refers to a short articulation of 3 to 5 word phrase created to capture the very essence of the brand's meaning, the heart, and the soul of the brand. The most famous example of brand mantra is from Nike. The team coined the brand mantra, authentic, athletic performance. Moving further, the purpose of a brand mantra is to make sure that all employees within the organization and all external marketing partners understand the fundamental representation of the brand. This is a vital aspect so that those who work for the brand can adjust the actions accordingly. This helps in creating a mental filter to screen out and block inappropriate marketing activities or actions according to the brand, which can have a negative impression on the customer's mind. Let's move on to designing a brand mantra. On one hand, where a brand slogan is meant to engage, brand mantras on the other hand are designed with internal purposes in mind. Designing a brand mantra entails the following points. First, communicate. A good brand mantra needs to clarify the uniqueness of the brand. A brand mantra may also need to define the category or categories of business for the brand and set boundaries for the brand. Next, simplify. A successful and effective brand mantra should be memorable. For a brand mantra to make long-term home in the minds of the people, it needs to be short, crisp, and vivid in meaning. And finally, inspire. It is extra effective and impactful if a brand mantra is personally meaningful and relevant to as many as people possible. Now moving on to the differences between brand mantra and positioning. A brand mantra can have several names. Some people refer to it as the brand essence, while others may call it a brand promise. Like triple distillation removes impurities from liquor, in the same manner when a brand positioning is refined and simplified to its most essential form, it becomes a brand mantra. A brand mantra is a short phrase that summarizes the entire positioning platform into one thought. Moving further, it contains all elements like the competitive frame of reference, the points of difference, the points of parity, and everything else about your brand. The goal is to capture the overall spirit and to give people the best possible sense of the essence of the brand in a memorable, emotionally vibrant way. A brand mantra is not developed to be an advertising slogan or tagline. In most cases, it won't be used publicly at all. The most powerful brand mantras become an integral part of the DNA of the organization. They're used to guide everyday decisions about strategy, user experience, voice, and a lot of other things. And finally, the brand mantra becomes a touchstone that employees can come back to over and over again whenever decision starts getting tough. Now let's look at some examples of brand mantras, starting with Ritz-Carlton. Ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. The Ritz-Carlton brand mantra has a very clear internal and external message. This is an especially important consideration for a brand of services. Next up, BMW. Ultimate driving machine. BMW's brand mantra is noteworthy and powerful. It reveals the power of a straddle branding strategy by combining two seemingly incompatible set of attributes or benefits. Next up, Apple. Think different. This mantra was used from 1997 to 2002 by Apple Computers, now Apple. It was created by the Los Angeles office advertising agency, TWA Day. It has been used in a television advertisement, several print advertisements, and several TV promos for Apple products. As of 2020, Think Different was still printed on the back of the box of the iMac and everywhere else possible. And finally, Marriott, which says, take care of associates and they will take care of the customers. By associates, they meet employees. The founder has this basic philosophy of taking care of one another. This philosophy has made Marriott International a great place to work for more than 85 years. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand mantra. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on brand community. Let's start with the introduction to brand community. A brand community is nothing but a functional group of buyers and employees whose identification and moments focus around the brand. Brand communities can be formed by any large or small business and come right after brand loyalty and retention. Example, customers of brands such as Harley-Davidson and Apple are headstrong brand enthusiasts who remain loyal to the firm. These communities created by brands create platforms for consumers to interact and share information and help the marketing team to find out about customers' likes and dislikes. Let's look at the types of brand communities. First, communities formed by brand users. These are communities that are created organically among the brand users. Example, the Game of Thrones fan club, the Marvel fan club, the Harry Potter fan club. Second are the communities formed and sponsored by the companies. These are created by companies to enable like-minded customers to stay in touch with each other. Example, the Harley Owners Group. The Harley Owners Group is a Harley-Davidson sponsored community club for enthusiasts of the brand's motorcycles. The group is an impeccable example of community building efforts working to promote consumer products and also a lifestyle at large. The group managed to open new streams of revenue through the production of tie-in merchandise offered to club members. Heading a consumer base of a keen 1 million buyers, the group is the largest factory-sponsored riding club in the world. The community members easily spend around 30% more on items like clothing and Harley-Davidson sponsored events as compared to the rest of the Harley owners. Now let's look at the online push to community branding. Brands now have social media presence on platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and blogs to better connect with customers. Some brands also create their own online community. In these communities, members can give reviews, create lists of recommendations and favorites, suggest products, or merely socialize together online. Example, Lego consult kids and prominent adult enthusiasts to gather feedback on new product concepts in the primitive stages of development. We shall discuss this in an example ahead. Now let's look at the benefits of brand community. Number 1, loyal customer base. A powerful brand community creates a more loyal and committed customer base. Second, higher spending probabilities. More connected a member is to the community, higher are the chances of them spending more. Third, feedback and ideas. Brand communities could act as a valuable source of inspiration for improvements or innovation through consumers' feedback. Fourth, advocates of the brand. Support of the members of the brand community helps the firm in being more effective and efficient in marketing. Fifth, platform to connect. Online brand communities states the perfect means for users to connect and share information with other members. And finally, empower customers. Such communities empower users to support other users due to the platform made available by these companies. Next, look at some key success factors for a brand community. The first, empowered customer. Existing users help reduce the number of complaints from new users because they will answer their queries. Here, people can look upon old comments put up by previous users and get the answers to their current problems. Example, the Apple Support Forum. Next, knowledge sharing of super users. Buyers share their encounters and best practices with other customers, creating a more luxurious brand experience for them. Example, the SAP Community Network. Next up is sharing product experience. When a group of customers use the same product, they create a shared experience. Example in this could be the Nike Run Club. Nike Run Club produces special tools to enable an athlete to run better. These include the GPS running tracking, customized audio-guided workout plans, timed custom distance challenges, and non-stop motivation from fans and fellow users. Next up is product innovation. Customers provide feedback on existing products and submit difficulties encountered, which the company can make use to generate new ideas to better serve the buyers. Example, Lego Ideas, an initiative by the toy maker where users can support, submit, and discover ideas for new Lego sets. Now let's look at some examples of brand community. The first example being Lego Users Group Network. The Lego Users Group Network, one of the largest unofficial online Lego-based fan communities, comprises of adult men who engage in building intricate Lego projects. This focused niche group of followers give the community a valuable source of information which the Lego company uses in making efficient product. As one Lego spokesman said, the Lugnet offers incredibly valuable insights which the company consumes to deliver better brand products which aid in marketing and much more. The other brand community for the same brand is the Lego Ideas. Lego Ideas is a website that enables its users to submit ideas for Lego products that can be turned into a potential set available commercially where the original designer receives 1% of the royalties. This age-friendly platform let the user check out proposals, vote for their favorites, leave feedback, and submit their own ideas. Most popular ideas come to life and are commercially made available. The next example is on Sephora and Beauty Talk. Beauty Talk was launched as a response to several reviews left on Sephora.com. The platform performed exceptionally well in making the customers feel connected. This well-organized forum has a huge followership where users ask questions, share creative insights, and have their beauty issues solved by another enthusiast. Users upload pictures of themselves wearing Sephora products. These pictures then have a link that redirects viewers to the product page listing all the items used in the picture. Next is a classic example of an advanced brand community. Xbox has a followership of customers that are much more than average enthusiasts. Not anyone can be an Xbox brand ambassador. The individuals need to have a certain minimum game score along with an active Xbox Live Gold membership. These ambassadors extend a youth support network for both the gamers and the brand. They offer support on hosting Twitch shows, official Xbox forums, in creating YouTube videos, and providing feedback. Ambassadors in return get rewarded with games, brand merchandise, and other perks that specifically appeal to hardcore gamers. And finally, the last example on Starbucks, their own community, My Starbucks Idea. My Starbucks Idea was launched in March 2008 and retired in May 2017. It had a following of more than 150,000 members. The suggestions given on My Starbucks Idea community have led to nearly 300 innovations till date. Suggestions like introducing digital tipping, peach green tea lemonade, to the very necessary ability to enjoy free Wi-Fi have been implemented. Our passionate customers and partners have been sharing their ideas with us on My Starbucks Idea, and we have listened and acted upon. Starbucks even produce a nice success.
That's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on brand elements. Do subscribe to our channel where you get such videos. Thank you and stay tuned for more videos.